Hello again, entrepreneurs. It's Joe DeChara back to you once again live from downtown Flushing, New York. And I'm still in the science fiction movie, the pandemic, the COVID-19 uh, catastrophe. Uh, but that's not going to stop me from bringing you this important information that I'm hunkered down. And, I'm getting tired of being in my apartment all the time, even though life is still good. uh, I'm not going to my family's barbecue on Saturday for two reasons. One, it's a gigantic hike for me, and two, my daughter's not going because she's been working and interviewing people, and she doesn't want to get anybody else infected. So usually my plan is, because she lives like halfway between my aunt and where I am now, I'll take the train because I don't own a car anymore. Not because I lost it, because I wanted to do the world a favor and get me off the road. You see, from the time I passed my driver's license test, I did not, I wanted to drive so badly, and after my first time of actually driving, I didn't want to do it anymore. So I had a car when a lot of my friends didn't have a car. And I spent most of my time in the passenger side. So one of my goals, and this kills me, one of my objectives was to make enough money so that I didn't have to drive anymore. And guess what? I don't have to drive because I moved to the city. I moved to Queens, and I have the subway that I can go anywhere. Okay. So when I realized that, all I had to do was get rid of the car. It wasn't about the money. What a surprise. What a surprise. Because my real objective was to just not have to drive anymore. I wanted to make enough money to hire a driver. But the truth is, I can go anywhere today, and somebody else is taking me there. So and one of the reasons I was probably one of the worst drivers ever, because I just could not concentrate. It was boring to me just looking at the road. Unless you're going on a road trip, I would love to drive like through the mountains and stuff like that, a long trip because you see scenery. But if you're just driving from here to your aunt's house at the end of Long Island, and it's going to take you two and a half hours, uh, that's just boring. And I looked at it as a waste of time. So, practicing what I preach, I said, I can use that time to make more money. So imagine, sometimes we just have it backwards. I get it backwards a lot. It was by just getting rid of the car. Now, the truth is, because I lived on Long Island, you can't not have a car on Long Island. You just can't. But the point is here, and there is a business connection here. Even though it might seem like I went off on a tangent again, Jenny Wright, who's been coaching me and trying to help me, and I didn't do the bullet points, but I do have a point to make. And now I forgot what it was. But the point was that I had it backwards. I thought that I had to make the money first, and then I would be able to not drive. Not thinking that there was another solution. And it just happened. It was, I just wanted to not drive. And when I moved to Queens, I wanted to not drive like 1,000 times more because it's so much worse driving where I am. It's like the black hole of traffic. And it's not always the cars, usually it's the pedestrians. But so now, and here's the irony. So they start relaxing, the stay at home jail thing. They start relaxing it. So now my daughter, who's been working from home, can actually go to work for 2 days a week now and interview people, because they're actually thinking about opening up the parks, and she works for a parks department, and they got to hire a lot of people. So, and I understand, because she doesn't, how does she know if, because now she's in contact with people and there's no way around that. You know, when you interview people, you're there. So I'm not going to my aunt's barbecue today because they lifted some of the restrictions and now she's able to interview people, but she doesn't want to take a chance of infecting any other family members if she doesn't have to, because we have kids in the family and people at risk. So, you know, it's kind of strange. I think you can't predict what's going to happen as far as business goes. And, you know, one of my thoughts was, you know, even when they lift all the not sanctions, but the jail at home, stay at home stuff, I'm still going to be walking around with a mask. And I don't know about you, but I don't like walking around with a mask. It's not fun. Not for me anyway, because the smoke, the fog or whatever goes into my glasses and then I can't see. And, you know, there's all these issues. But I'm trying to not let them affect my business. And I've been pretty successful at it because business is good right now. And business is good because I designed my business the way that I wanted it. You see, I designed my business so I wasn't a slave to my office. And I wanted to have a remote business where I could work from anywhere. And I've had that for a long time now. I'm a CPA, but I have clients all over the country. I do tax returns for people in Kansas, Tennessee, Texas, California, Washington, Arizona. You know, I'm covering the whole United States, Florida, North Carolina. So anyway, and that wasn't, so I'm able to do business because I designed my business that way. And so on Tuesday, I'm going to be having a free webinar on how you can win at business. If you just go to the website, how you can win at business, and I'm going to share with you the techniques, the strategies that I was able to employ over 15 years ago. And it all just started with the thought, because that's how everything starts. And, you know, being on these Facebook Lives, meeting Haley Gray, just about everything that I'm doing in my business was planned out a long, long time ago. How I got here was different than what I planned, because, you know, my friend Sue Brooks says, nothing ever happens the way we plan it, but it winds up happening. You know, and so one of the things that I do is I do my business intentionally. I have a system, okay? And when I started doing business intentionally, there were fundamentals that had to be in place. And I learned those fundamentals by watching people, by reading, by listening, by learning, because they didn't teach me how to be successful in CPA school. They taught me how to do financial reports and how to measure stuff and how to put large quantities of data into a little tiny report that makes sense. You know, so they taught me the mechanics. But what they didn't tell me are things like the MasterMind principle, which I'll be running my free mastermind tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And all you have to do is go to Mastermind with Joe. And I'm pretty proud of myself how I started learning how to do this, because if you saw me in just a couple of months ago, I didn't even know how to log on to a Facebook Live. Now I'm in 4 different places in Facebook, and I'm on YouTube Live. And no matter how much I talk about it, I'm just truly amazed by the technology, and because it opens up so many doors to what we can do. So many doors. So if you have a business and you're stuck because of things outside of your control, not everybody can have 100% remote business. So there are people that are, suffering devastating financial issues right now. And I understand that, and it's not easy, and it's painful. And sometimes there's no solution. Because the solution is there is no solution, no matter how much you want to try and fix it. But there's always the future, to where you could start planning now and say, you know what, this happened before, and this was the result. So maybe if you owned a restaurant with a large overhead, but you love cooking or you love the food industry, maybe you don't open up another restaurant with a big overhead, or you do it differently. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but what I do have are the fundamental principles, and they apply to every business at every time in every circumstance. That's why they call them fundamentals. And that's what I'm going to focus on in everything that I do, because that's what small businesses lack. Because nobody teaches it really. You don't learn this stuff in school. I mean, yeah, you could learn it the way that I have, but I went after it. And most of the people that want to learn about business, they'll go to business school or some other way. But I had an advantage because I was a CPA. So I had the experience that most people don't have. I had the financial experience. So, I didn't hit walls because I didn't know my numbers, or I couldn't, predict my cash flow. I hit walls because I was approaching my business upside down, just like I was with the car thing. I thought that I had to make more money so that I wouldn't have to drive a car. And it's the same thing in business. You want the money, but by chasing the money, you scare it away. It's like herding cats. And it might sound moronic or stupid. And if this was 12 years ago, I would have said, yeah, okay, come back to me in a year after you've failed in business. But the truth is that if you're just chasing the money, you might find it, but you might not be happy. So what were the fundamental principles that started me to put me in a position where I have a thriving business? Okay, I'm in a position to grow, to scale, and everything's good. Everything's good. But it didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't easy. Okay? That was one of the things I had to accept, that it's not happening as fast as I wanted to, and it's not going to be easy because I'm going to have to do the work like everyone else. And I set out and I started applying the principles. What are the principles? They're very simple. One is the MasterMind principle. And if you don't understand what a mastermind is, or don't like the label mastermind, forget about what you want to call it. Because the truth is, a mastermind is as simple as a husband and wife raising a family. It's as simple as two people having a meeting of the minds and agreeing to do something that neither one of them can do on their own. And my daughter put it to me a different way. She came home from school one day and she said, "Daddy, my teacher told me that if I'm the smartest one in my group, I should find another group." And that's what we try to do with the mastermind, not necessarily based on IQ, but what you want to do is you want to surround yourself with people that have qualities that you love, that you want to aspire to, or they're smarter than you, or they have some kind of experience. Or sometimes the best people in a mastermind are people that have no experience in anything at all except being happy. Okay. So I started mastermind groups. I joined mastermind groups, and then I left, and then I joined some more. And now I'm back in mastermind groups because I was reminded by one of my former mastermind members, Sue Brook, about how special they are. And so the masterminds are feeding into my business because that's how I make connections with people. I meet people that are either in need or that I can learn something from them. And that's the objective. So like tomorrow's meeting is, I don't know who's going to show up. Maybe one person will show up and we'll have the greatest mastermind meeting ever. But you never know. And every meeting has its own different flavor. And mine just happens to be free. And, the other principle, because I want to keep these short because nobody likes long videos or Facebook Lives. The other principle was the principle of having a coach and a mentor. And that is so important, for accountability reasons, for knowledge, and sometimes just for guidance. Why do the greatest athletes in the world have coaches? Think about that. Now surgeons have coaches. Somebody woke up one day and say, "Oh, I could be anything. I can be a gardener and have a coach." Because all it is again, it's sort of like the mastermind principle where you're having a meeting of the minds with people, with somebody else, another individual, and you come up with ideas and solutions that one person could never do that on their own. So I have several coaches right now, and today I just hired a new one, and I'm so happy. He's the guy that wrote this book, Victory, and he might even watch this, Larry Broughton, and I want to thank you, Larry, for taking me on as a client. I'm honored to have somebody like you to be coaching me, and I'm sure that I'm going to teach you probably more than what you're going to teach me, but that's okay. And that's the way it works. When I coach people and I mentor people, I learn too, and they keep me sharp. They keep me sharp. And one of the other principles, and this is one of my own 13 principles that I will talk about on Tuesday during the how you can win at business, or you can even go to how to win at business. I actually have both domain names because I love them so much. But one of the other principles that I've incorporated is to educate, and that means to try to teach people. Because believe it or not, when you teach people stuff that you wind up getting back. either through, you know, sharpening your skills, staying up to date, just the simple process of, I don't want to look like a jerk when I'm teaching these people this, uh, it makes you better. So when you're teaching, you're actually learning. You're reminding yourself. And, you know, that's my story for tonight. I'm sticking with it. I want to thank you. Have a good weekend. Like I said, you know, join me for my mastermind group tomorrow. It's Mastermind with Joe DiChiara. And thank you, Larry Bratton. I'm looking forward to the next 12 months of teaching you and also learning from you. So, Joe DiChiara, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. Over and out. Thank you.